Justice with Judge Mablean will be life because in everything we do, it involves the law.
You came to court to testify about what you heard, what you saw, and what you know.
She's fair.
I don't have a hearing problem. This ear works good. This one works even better.
She's firm.
I'm not responsible for that ticket, and I'm not going to pay for it.
Who says you're not going to pay for it? I make that decision, not you.
She's honest.
What you have to say?
All I have to
Nothing.
say.
This is Justice with Judge Mablean. George Santos is suing Allie Santos in the amount of $1,728. Mr. Santos claims he offered to subsidize his niece's rent when she moved into his empty duplex and says she broke the rules and owes back rent.
In the matter of George Santos versus Allie Santos, I think your uncle and niece, right?
Correct.
You're suing her for $1,728 in unpaid rent.
That's correct.
All right, tell me about it.
I own a duplex here in town, and I got a call from my niece. She's telling me that she had nowhere to go. She got kicked out from her mother for some dispute they had or whatnot. Luckily for her, I had just vacated the place. I had tenants that had just left. I had freshly painted the place, and it was available. So I said, why not? Instead of renting the place out and putting up for lease sign and expecting to get $1,500, I settled for $1,300. I thought it was a good deal. She would pay the $1,300. I would pay the other half. I lived in the front. Then she couldn't pay me because she lost her job and other problems that she violated the rules in the house.
Okay, what rules did she violate, and how much does she? I mean, the $1,728. How did you calculate that?
Yeah, so I calculated that, Your Honor. I have a ledger here of 3 months that I supplemented some of her income.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when she told me that her job was slow, I said, okay, I'll cut you some slack on the rent. I won't charge you the full rent. So it was $550 that she owes me. And I said, I'll pay that as long as you get back on your feet, as long as she didn't violate the rules. And clearly stated in the rules that she was not to have boys over, no parties, no alcohol, no marijuana, or any loud noise, and she violated the rules. And
what, you do all of them?
She did all of them pretty much, yeah.
Did you tell her that she would have to reimburse you?
Well, not at the time. As long as it was as long as she didn't violate the rules, I was okay with it. But as soon as she violated the rules, I took action and I wanted the money back. I felt like it was the right thing to do. And
so this is $1,650. Where you get the $1,728?
Yeah, Your Honor. Sorry, I missed this one. This is a receipt from one of my handyman, and it was also there was a local shop where I purchased some paint. It was for rib posters and some of the wallpaper.
I'm trying to understand the contract. You can pay me $750 a month.
Correct.
As long as you don't violate the rules.
Yes.
And as long as you try to get back on your feet.
Correct. And she did neither. She laughed in my face, had loud parties. I come home one day and I find Chad in the house with her.
Who's Chad?
That's her boyfriend who caused all the problems.
Okay. So did you find this out the first month, the second month, or the third month?
I found out the third month. That's when I gave her a 30-day notice because I figured she was lying to me. And lo and behold, I come home early from work and I find them in the bedroom and they were smoking the reefer.
So you gave a 30-day notice to vacate?
I had already given her the 30-day notice to vacate.
When did you give her that notice?
Yeah, that was in September.
Okay, you gave her the notice in September.
That's correct, yes.
And when did she finally vacate?
When I caught Chad there and her smoking.
So she's out of your place?
She's out of my place now, thank God.
So now you want the back rent?
I want the back rent. I need my money.
Ms. Santos, Ali, what do you have to say?
I was going through a tough time. My mother and I weren't getting along. She just had a lot of issues with me, like breaking curfew, but I'm grown, so I don't really know.
You're grown, but you don't have your own place. You're grown, but you're not paying any of your grown bills.
Well, I was when I moved out.
Okay,
and
so
moved
tell
in
me
with my uncle.
what your issues were with mother.
She didn't like Chad either.
So she didn't like your boyfriend?
Yes.
And she didn't want him over?
Exactly.
But you grown?
Exactly.
But it's not your place?
Exactly, which is why I asked my uncle if I could move in, and I told him I would pay the rent, and he said that that was okay. So for the first 3 months that I was there, I was paying the full $1,300 in rent, and then it got slow over the summer at my job, so they let me go, and I let him know that, you know, I could still pay him more than half of the rent with what I had left in savings, and he said that that was fine. He never once told me, oh yeah, just, you know, it'll be a loan, you can pay me back. He just said, you know what, I'll supplement it for until you get back on your feet, and it just took a long time for me.
Okay, did he say until you get back on your feet and any other conditions? Did he add any other conditions?
He didn't, but when I first moved in,
What were the other conditions when he said I'll supplement it?
just that I continue to follow the rules that we signed when I first moved in.
Coming up on Justice with Judge Mablean.
I know it was my uncle's place, but I was paying rent, so I felt like, you know, I could be an adult and like do the things that I wanted to do and, you know, be an adult
felt
woman.
that way, but you didn't have to feel because he clearly told you you couldn't.
And later,
it was marketed as a weight loss competition. So throughout the 10 weeks, he was telling us whoever loses the most weight is gonna be awarded the $1,500.
Justice with Judge Mablean. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of George Santos, who is suing Ali Santos for unpaid rent.
What were the rules when you first moved in?
The rules were that I could not have boys over,
No boys. What
even
else?
though I'm not a teenager. That there was no alcohol or drugs in the house. Which
No alcohol, no drugs.
I'm of legal drinking age, so that was bogus as well, in my opinion. And to respect the house, which I did, I respected the place. I didn't
By
do any
smoking
damages,
marijuana? Be
et
quiet.
cetera.
Why do you think if somebody has a rule because you're grown and you're 22, it's his property, you don't own it. It's your mother's property.
But I pay rent.
And so what? You pay rent. Because you pay rent to a landlord, you think you can do whatever you want to do in the landlord's property?
Not whatever I want to do, but not having boys over seems a little bit
But that was his
ridiculous.
rule. And if you agreed to live there with that rule, yeah, it may be a little tough, but you had a choice. You didn't have to rent his place. You could have rented John Doe's place. So yeah, it seems a little tough, but you said okay. So what you're telling me is that it was fraud, that you agreed and said okay, but you never intended to abide by it because you thought it was a stupid rule in the first place.
I know it was my uncle's place, but I was paying rent, so I felt like, you know, I could be an adult and like do the things that I wanted to do and, you know, be
But you
an adult
felt
woman.
that way, but you didn't have to feel because he clearly told you you couldn't.
Right, in the rules. But we never signed
Uh-huh.
a lease agreement, just the rules.
You signed an agreement. Just because you didn't sign an agreement, you had a verbal agreement on how much to pay and what the rules were. That's still the rules. So you felt that he would allow it, but he didn't. He told you, I'm not going to allow it either. Now, in landlord-tenant to have no men over to a house, I think that that's discriminating. And you can't tell people that they can't have guests over to their house.
Well, you don't know Chad. I mean, with all due
I
respect.
understand that. That's
You don't know
Chad.
Chad either,
This guy's
but
a
by the
loser.
way, you
This
don't
guy's
even
a
know
loser.
him.
Chad she's paying rent. And when a person is paying rent, in terms of who comes and visit, you can't set those kind of rules.
I understand, man.
But on the alcohol and the drugs is illegal. You can set that one. Alcohol is not illegal. But you agreed to it and you accepted those conditions and then didn't abide by it. Okay, now tell me why you don't think you should pay him.
Because, yeah, I told him I was on hard times because I did lose my job, and I told him, you know, I have savings while I'm trying to get another job and going to school. I could pay him part of the rent that I had
And he
saved
said
up.
it's okay as
He said
long as
that's
you
okay.
don't have Chad over, other boyfriends, you don't smoke marijuana, you don't drink alcohol. He said okay. So he gave you an out. But once again, you didn't keep your end of the bargain.
It just seemed like blackmail to me. Like, oh, you can do all these things as long as you live under my militant rules.
How is that blackmail when you could have just said, okay, that's too tough for me, forget it?
I just didn't feel like financially I had a choice because he was offering me rent at such a low rate.
No, right, and you didn't want to go look for somewhere else, or you may not have been able to find something somewhere else. So you did have a choice. You could have found a one-room flat for $750, but you wanted to live in a nice apartment. You had choices. You could have lived in another part of town that could have cost more. Let me hear what Mother has to say quickly.
Well, Your Honor, I'm very disappointed in my brother because he agreed to have my daughter stay in the duplex. And, you know, this bogus...
Now, Mama, you put her out.
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
You put her out, and you Mama.
She don't even want her.
Be quiet. You put her out, and you're Mother. But you think he shouldn't have put her out when she didn't pay what she was supposed to pay him, and she didn't abide by his rules. He shouldn't have put her out. So you're disappointed in brother when you put her
Yes, I
out
am.
because she didn't abide by your rules.
Well, I just didn't like her boyfriend, Chad.
Whatever it was, you didn't like it and put her out.
Right.
But you think he's supposed to put up with it.
Well, I mean,
I'm paying rent.
What's up,
so
sister?
that's-
Oh,
she's
sit
paying
down.
rent, and, you know...
Sit down,
this-
Mama. Sit down. Now, but here's the problem I have with you, Mr. Santos. You allowed her to pay rent, and you agreed that she could pay half, $750 a month,
Correct.
on condition that she not violate the rules. That's not what a rental agreement is.
I know.
Especially asking her to do things that she has a right to do. She has a right as a tenant under landlord-tenant laws to have guests over, to have people over to her house. She has a right to drink alcohol in her premises that she's paying rent in. It is called a right to free use and enjoyment. She doesn't have a right to violate the law of smoking marijuana, all right? And having illegal drugs in the house. But you can't condition the payment of rent on as long as you don't do those kinds of things. You served her a notice to vacate.
Correct. 30
She
day notice.
vacated. That's what a notice to vacate is.
Right.
She vacated in the 30 days. All right? So you're not entitled to the back rent under the complaint that you filed. If you want the back rent, you have to file something else.
She also damaged my property, though.
If you want the back rent
He
and if you
damaged
want the
his property.
damages, you have to file something else. You served a notice to get out. She got out. All right? Judgment for the defendant.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been denied.
Had you respected my rules, I wouldn't have kicked you out.
You heard the judge. You had no rights to judge me or disrespect me.
Coming up,
It was marketed as a weight loss competition, and whoever had the weight loss and measurement. And I had the best measurements and the most weight loss, so that $1,500 is mine.
Justice with Judge Mablean. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. Kevin Peters is suing Donovan West in the amount of $1,500. Mr. Peters claims he came in first place in a weight loss competition, but says he somehow lost out on the prize money.
In the matter of Kevin Peters versus Donovan West, you're suing him for $1,500. You say you were denied your first place winnings in a weight loss competition?
Yes, that's correct.
So what happened in this situation?
Well, Your Honor, it started about a year ago. I was a software associate, working a commission job, eating a lot of fast food. And I've always played video games my entire life, so I was kind of a couch potato. And
then what
I
happened?
realized there was a gym, Donovan's gym, pretty close to where I used to work. So I started working out there. And I was working out there for probably about 2 weeks, and then I noticed there was a flyer for a weight loss competition. And the first place winner would win $1,500.
And how long did you have to lose this weight? What were the rules
We
of
had
the
10
competition?
weeks.
You
10
had
weeks
10
to lose
weeks?
weight. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We started in September, and we ended in November. So each week we had weekly weigh-ins. So I actually lost 25 pounds with the
Wow.
competition. Yes. So I lost the most weight, and it was marketed as a weight loss competition.
But you didn't get the prize.
I did not.
Why not?
But apparently he thought
I'ma turn to
James
him.
looked better.
The question is, do you dispute that he lost the most weight?
No, he did lose the most weight.
So why didn't he get the prize?
It wasn't all about the losing of the weight. It was
What was it about?
It was the overall body percentage, the BMI.
Did you say that, or did you say weight loss? Did you put all those conditions and restrictions on BMI and all of that?
I stated that in the orientation in the beginning of the.
Let me see the competition rules.
The rules? Okay.
See what the flyer said. See what it
so I have
announced.
the rules here, Your Honor. It was marketed as a weight loss competition, and whoever had the weight loss and measurement. And I had the best measurements and the most weight loss, so that $1,500 is mine.
Coming up,
We're looking at overall image, the transformation, the big transformation.
That's not anything on image and
I
transformation.
made the
Is
biggest
not on here.
transformation.
Closed captioning provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean. We're back with the case of Kevin Peters, who is suing Donovan West for fraud.
Winner will be determined by amount of weight loss via measurements.
And yes, ma'am.
Now that's ambiguous. Via measurements.
And weight loss.
No. It says the amount of weight loss via measurements. So it's weight loss based upon your measurements of your body. Via measurements
Right.
mean BMI index and all that other good
It was
stuff.
marketed as a weight loss competition. So throughout the 10 weeks, he was telling us whoever loses the most weight is going to be awarded the $1,500.
Okay. So what didn't he lose in terms of the competition? What
Well,
did he lack?
He had a higher body percentage than the winner. We're looking at overall image, the transformation, the big transformation.
That's not anything on image
That
and
was me. I
transformation.
made the
Is not
biggest
on here.
transformation.
If that's what you wanted, you could have said that clearly. Overall image and transformation. So when you weighed every week, did you get measured every week?
No, they didn't.
You just weighed. Because you could, if you were talking about overall physique, that's different than weight loss. And all this says is weight loss. And then every week, that's all you did was check the weight.
Weight loss and muscle gain as well.
No,
you didn't
that's
say that.
extra, Donovan.
You didn't say that. Because
Well,
if it's weight loss and muscle gain, that means you had a whole lot of emphasis on weight and weightlifting. Did you do a whole lot of weightlifting?
It was mainly cardio.
Cardio.
Yeah, and sit-ups.
Right,
and
that's
push-ups.
weight loss.
It was resistance
That's
training,
weight loss and
push-ups.
tightening up. That's weight loss and tightening up your core.
Yes.
That's all that is.
Judge Mablean's verdict when Justice with Judge Mablean returns. Promotional consideration provided by. You're watching Justice with Judge Mablean.
Who's the other person that you want to give the money to? Your friend?
I
Yeah,
already
it's James.
gave
Huh?
money to the
It's
winner.
James.
James.
Yeah, it actually turns out
It's
that
who?
James is actually his homie. He's known him for.
That's what I said. Is it his friend?
We're all homies.
It turns out,
yeah,
no,
no,
like,
I help people get in shape.
On the last weigh-in,
I lost-
it finally came out. Like James told me that they actually knew each other 6 months before the competition started.
That's not true. Your
So that's
Honor.
his homeboy, huh?
That's
I
yeah.
changed your life, man. Yeah, I got you
No,
down in great
I
shape.
changed my own life.
I changed your life.
I
man.
changed
gave
my
you a
own
free
life.
So you
membership.
gave
And he
the
just
money
wanted
to
your
James?
friend.
Or James gave the money back to you and you didn't give it to anybody?
James won the competition, so naturally I gave him the money.
James didn't win the competition. You said he lost the most weight.
Well, that wasn't the thing.
I'm
Not
sorry.
losing all the weight. It was,
You misled, and he lost the most weight. You said weight loss.
yes, yeah. I'm
Okay,
not
so he lost
building-
the most weight. Give him his $1,500. Judgment for the plaintiff.
Judge Mablean has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $1,500.
You know I won the money. I'm glad the judge saw that.
No hard feelings, man. I never tried to dupe you. I'll give you the money.
This has been a production of Entertainment Studios.